lucky me, I have you here to help me as well as talk about what you're running for. So.
Okay. Well, to start off with the first question, the importance of voting, especially in this particular election cycle, is that we have a lot of things that are before our legislators that really do directly impact our personal lives. We have issues related to health care that impact our personal lives. We have issues related to taxes. There have been recent changes at the federal level that impact our lives. But at the state and local level, we have very big concerns about how we're going to fund our schools, about how we're going to fund our hospitals. So we have a lot of people who are running for commissioner. We have individuals who are running for state rep who hold the purse strings to a lot of those things that directly impact the citizens of the state of Illinois. So it's very important that people make sure that they go out and vote their choice so that they can make sure that their interests are represented in the House and the Senate in Illinois. And at the local level too, at the county level.
All right, so let me ask you, what made you run for judge?
I'm running for circuit court judge. I've been a practicing attorney. I'm now in my 20th year. I started off, I went somewhat of a circuitous route. So a lot of the people who are running for office are public defenders or state's attorneys, so they have a limited scope somewhat in that they primarily focus in criminal law. I started off my career as an international tax attorney, even going so far as to be in the International Tax Council for Aon Corporation. But then I decided to shift gears because I decided I like people more than paper and business. So I opened my own practice and I've been focusing on family law ever since. And as a family law practitioner, I deal with domestic violence, drug abuse issues, children, juvenile issues, guardianships, elder law, and of course domestic violence. I see the happy side of the law too with adoptions as well. But I decided to run because I've seen various instances in the family law courts where I feel that there are certain assumptions being made about individuals who are in my community. And from my perspective, you cannot properly adjudicate or make decisions about families if you're coming in with biases. So I decided that it was my time to put my money basically where my mouth was and run so that I can make sure that you have a balanced individual on the bench, you have a fair individual on the bench, because that's the only way you're going to get justice on the bench.
Okay, so that's what my next question was going to be. What sets you aside from some of the other candidates that's running?
Well, just let me clarify, because the judicial race is a very confusing one. Okay, it's confusing even to people who are attorneys. Okay, so if I can have a little bit of leverage, I want to explain how people even become judges in the circuit court.
Thank you. So
okay,
I don't feel so
right.
bad.
No, it's not just you. It's a very confusing process. Okay. So there are two ways that an individual can become a judge in the circuit court of Cook County. The first way is to be appointed as a judge. Okay. Well, actually, let me strike that. There are three ways. The first way is to be appointed. And an appointment happens when someone unfortunately passes away or a judge retires, okay? And of course, the judicial term is 6 years long. So you don't want to have our constituents not having an individual on the bench, or we having a shortage of judges on the bench because someone unfortunately passed away or because someone decided to move on to a different phase of their life with retirement. As a result, to make sure those seats are filled and we don't have any inequities because we don't, or people can't have speedy process or due process, we assign or appoint people to the bench. Okay. Those appointments are made by the Illinois Supreme Court. But those individuals who are appointed, and I want to make this very clear because there's a lot of verbiage going around in the selection cycle.
Right.
When you're appointed, you are literally just a stand-in. You are a fill-in, okay? And enough to take that appointment in the short term, but you are an interim person to make sure that our community is not short a judge on the bench. That's the first way, but that's not a permanent appointment.
That's a lot though already.
Right. The second way is to become a judge by getting on the associate list. What those individuals do is they fill out an application, and then basically they have to lobby all of the full circuit court judges who are on the bench. And those circuit court judges come up with what's called a short list of individuals who they say, yes, we would vote for these people to be on the bench. When seats come up in the associate realm for these judges to fill, the judges vote on them for whatever number of seats that are available. Based on the individual who gets the highest number of votes of the circuit court judges, those people can then fill those associate seats, okay? The third way to become the judge is the way I'm doing it, is through the electoral process where the people vote you into the seat, okay? And again, a seat comes up because someone has passed away or they have retired or whatever reason that this, or sometimes they can create a new seat. That happens rarely, but it happens. In that situation, just like any other politician, we have to go out and campaign. We have to get signatures to get on the ballot. Then we have to meet as many people as we can to get their vote. The difference between judges and other politicians, however, is because our primary emphasis is to be impartial, we cannot have a platform. So when you're talking to judges, we're just telling you about our career. I can't tell you a position because I'm not supposed to have one, because I'm going on the bench to listen to what you have to say and to be impartial and unbiased. So we don't have a platform. When all of these individuals get on the bench, they have exactly the same job. That's the odd part, right? The difference is between the circuit court judges who run and the associate judges who don't, there's probably like a $10,000 difference in pay. And the associate judges cannot vote to get other associate judges on the bench. That's the only difference. The job is the same. Once people get onto the bench, everybody for the most part starts off in traffic court. I figure the legislature feels that's the least place you can cause any damage. For the most part in traffic, you're not taking away anyone's liberties. Okay, you might hit them in the pocket, I get that, right? But you're not taking away anybody's liberties for the most part in traffic court, so everyone starts there. And then after you've cut your teeth, for lack of a better phrasing, then you get assigned to a different division within the court system. Now, with the elected, just when you thought it was confusing, let me add another.
It's very, I'm still...
Right, just when you thought you had a handle on it, let me add one more wrinkle to it. For the elected judges, there are two different kinds, okay? So this election cycle, every single person in Cook County will see a minimum of 10 individual names for judges on their ballot. Why is that? There are 10 seats open for circuit court, full circuit court judge. Those individuals' names will be on every single person's ballot throughout Cook County, okay? Then there's what I'm running for, sub-circuit judge. How did that come about? Well, back in the 80s and 90s, it's like, okay, Cook County is a pretty diverse county, but the bench doesn't represent the demographics of the county. So you had some legislators who said, you know, this just isn't right. Everyone is not being represented on the bench. Everybody is not having a seat at the table. So we're going to create the sub-circuits. So the Cook County, for those who don't know, is the biggest county in the country. It's a huge county. So Cook County, yes, is very large. So Cook County was separated into 15 sub-circuits, okay? It was diced up into 15 sub-circuits. Yes, gerrymandering happens within that as well, but it was diced up into 15 different sections, okay?
You know your stuff, don't you?
I hope so. So it was diced up into 15, right? It was diced up into 15 different sections. And in order for you to run in that sub-circuit, you have to live in that sub-circuit. Okay? And because Cook County still has some remnants of segregation, right? Because it's still very separated. By default, you get diversity on the bench. Because people, for the most part, who live in my sub-circuit are going to look like me. People who live in another sub-circuit, they might be primarily Asian. People who live in this sub-circuit might be primarily Latino. People who live over here might be primarily Caucasian. So by default, having you have to live in that sub-circuit creates diversity on the bench. I am running for judge in the 1st Judicial Sub-Circuit, and everyone who's watching, I'm asking that you vote for Erika Orr in the 1st Judicial Sub-Circuit.
Right, so that means you got to punch
152.
You have to.
You can go straight to the bottom of the ballot. It's going to be a long ballot. I'll be towards the end. All the judges are at the end of the ballot. 152.
Woman with power.
Right.
Right. Woman with power. So, what can we be expecting once you do get elected?
What we can expect is a couple of things. First, I say that when you think about me and my candidacy, think of three L's, okay? The first one is legal. I have the legal experience, without question, okay? So when I'm asking people to vote for me, because I am in a sub-circuit, I am not asking people to vote for me because I look like them. I'm asking people to vote for me because I'm qualified. And I have been found qualified by all.
Look over there.
Right, I'm right. I'm not asking people to vote for me because I look like them or I look like you. I am asking people to vote for me because I am qualified. I am the only candidate in the first sub-circuit that has been found qualified by all the bar associations. The only one. Okay, so that's the first thing.
She's a woman.
Right.
I keep saying it.
Right.
I love it. I love it. And you know what I like about you? I love about you. You are such a down-to-earth person.
Thank you.
You are a people's person.
Yes.
You are approachable.
Yes.
I must say that. 152, right?
152, right. So the first L is legal. You want to vote for somebody who is qualified, who has a legal experience. I started out when I talked to you about the diversity of my experience. The second thing is love. I love my people. I love my community. And you want somebody who is not going into this space with negative energy about people on the bench, because that doesn't work. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with issues. Judges have the ability to take away your money. Judges have the ability to take away your home. Judges have the ability to take away your kids. Okay? That's a lot of power. Yeah. So you don't want somebody on the bench who doesn't have just a genuine love of community and people.
There you go.
And the third thing is, and it's the most important thing, is listening. As a family law attorney, I have honed my ability to listen. I am dealing with people's mess at its highest form. Okay, and sometimes you have to cut through the mess, because sometimes the people don't even right.
For your job.
Sometimes people don't even realize how bad their mess is. So you have to listen. And listening is an active activity. It's not a passive one. There's hearing and there's listening. And I've developed the ability to listen, because if you don't have someone on the bench who's listening, there's not possible for you to have justice. It just can't happen.
So before I let you go, because I know you have to go, and I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show, but before I let you go, what would you like to say to my viewers? March 20th.
I'd like to tell the viewers that, again, thank you for taking time to watch me today on the show. My name is Erika Orr. I'm running for judge in the First Judicial Sub-Circuit. I ask for your vote, and please punch 152.
152. Welcome back to Full Circle, and I'm Queen, your host, and I'm now speaking with Stephen Wolfe.
Hi, Queen.
Did I say that right?
That's
Stephen
correct.
Wolfe.
Stephen Wolfe.
The candidate for Cook County Commissioner. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, it's great to meet you.
You have an upcoming, very hard job.
That's correct.
That you're looking.
That I'm hoping to get into, yes.
Yeah, that you're looking at.
Yeah.
You're on your way.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm running for Cook County Commissioner in the 3rd District, and this is very exciting for me. I think, you know, over time I've looked at different political opportunities, and Cook County Commissioner was one that I always felt I could excel at. And so now that there's the possibility of running, I'm excited. I'm running hard and looking forward to being successful.
Okay, so that was going to be my first question, pretty much, is what made you want to run for Cook County Commissioner?
You know, when I look at the challenges that the Cook County Board is facing, I really feel that I've got a background that's going to allow me to be successful as a board member and really to contribute to the success of the board. We're facing some financial challenges, some problems in terms of service delivery, and I've got a background in finance as well as in engineering that I anticipate as we start to deal with these problems that I'm going to be able to bring really some valuable input to help solve the problems and to allow us to be in a financial situation as a county that allows us to provide the services that are essential to our citizens.
Yeah, so that's actually another question that I have for you. With so many problems going on in the community, I wanted to know what would be, if elected, what would be one of your first problems that you would start dealing with, working with?
Yeah, that's a great question, Queen. I think the first thing that I'm interested in is when I look at taxes. Property taxes, of course, but really all taxes. There's an issue of fairness. And so I'm from the community. I think it should be fair. The assessment system that we have now is broken. What it does is that it's weighted against those that can least afford to pay taxes. Minorities, poor folks, working class families, you know, they're paying the brunt of these taxes. And so what I am calling for,
the taxes is...
taxes are rough, and what I'm calling for is let's freeze these property taxes until we can fix the assessment system.
And then how do you go about trying to freeze them? I don't understand. I'm a little lost.
So I think the freezing comes from action of the board.
Okay.
That, you know, we take action and come up with an ordinance that says, hey, we're going to freeze taxes until we can make them fair. And it shouldn't take a long time.
Right. Well, I asked that question because it just seemed like that's impossible. It seemed like it's like steady rising.
The taxes, yeah.
Especially in Chicago, oh my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of things contribute to your taxes, and so within Cook County, we have a number of taxing bodies.
Okay.
That then have the ability to say, you know, here's the funds that we need in this coming year. Okay. And so this is what we're asking to go into. This is the levy that we're wanting to put into the taxes. And so when we talk about, you know, taxes from Cook County, the county taxes themselves, the amount of funds that you pay that come back to government, to county government, haven't changed for about 20 years. It's been at the same level. But there are, you know, another 100 taxing bodies. So you've got the various municipalities. You know, if you live in Chicago, then Chicago is able to levy a tax amount.
So that'll be one of the first issues.
So the freeze that I'm talking about is for all those bodies.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So if you live in Elk Grove, then Elk Grove levies a tax. So you live in Robbins, wherever you are, the different entities that service your area, you know, that's whose taxes that you're paying. So I'm saying freeze all of those. Okay. Until we can make it fair. The board president, the executive positions.
Okay.
Toward the middle of the ballot, now you get the legislative positions.
Okay.
And for both of those, they kind of start from federal, state, local. Okay. And so there's anybody that's running for a federal legislative position, your congressman, that's going to be, you know, toward the middle, at the top of the middle. Then you're going to have your state. So your state reps, you'll see them. So
let me ask you, how important is this election?
Well, this is a very important election. And I would tell you that when I look at, you know, at the federal level, you know, I would just say that we've been trumped. And we need to make sure that we've got, you know, officials that represent us at the federal level that are working for us, because there's a lot of work to be done. At the state level, there's been some gridlock. You know, over these past couple of years, we went 2 years and 6 days without a budget, and so, you know, that keeps you from really providing a lot of services that are needed in the community. And so, very important that we participate that as well. At the local level, when I look at the county board, you know, the county board has worked. It has been working and trying to get things done. We did have the sugary beverage tax that, you know, was a disaster.
That was crazy.
It was.
That was really, really crazy. And I think some stores are still charging that tax.
I hope not. I hope not. They shouldn't be. I hope they aren't. You know, but the county board is a member of the board. I'm going to still be working with kids. And so what I'm hoping to do is to inspire kids by the effort and the work that I do to take on the future, to be positive about it and not be concerned about, our future not being bright, because it is bright.
So that was my next question. What can the voters actually look forward to, again, if you're elected?
So immediately, again, the first thing that I'm looking at is taxes. And so I think we need to fix the way that we do taxes so that they are fair.
So you can expect, we can expect go in that door and start with them taxes.
Right. You can expect to hear some noise and some conversation about how we make the taxes fair. Okay. In terms of the other issues that are facing the board, I mentioned that I was an engineer by training, and engineering is frequently considered to be something where you go in and you solve problems. And so my career as an engineer, that's what it's been, is that we have an opportunity, we have a challenge, and you go in and you look to solve that problem. And that's what I'm going to bring to this position as well, as solving problems. I think we've got some challenges, but I don't think that we can't overcome them. I think that we can do better, and that's really my slogan for this campaign, is that we can do better.
We can do better.
Yes.
I like that. So when they say your...
And if elected, what I want to do is to empower working families, to empower members of the community, to get them involved in county government. As your representative, I intend to be accessible. Okay. And I'm a good listener, I believe, and I'll be willing to listen to your ideas and suggestions and incorporate that into the positions that I take as a member of the board. I'm going to still be working with kids. And so what I'm hoping to do is to inspire kids by the effort and the work that I do to take on the future, to be positive about it and not be concerned about, our future not being bright, because it is bright.
So that was my next question. What can the voters actually look forward to, again, if you're elected?
So immediately, again, the first thing that I'm looking at is taxes. And so I think we need to fix the way that we do taxes so that they are fair.
So you can expect, we can expect go in that door and start with them taxes.
Right. You can expect to...
Viewers are listening and learning as well. And once again...
We can do better.
We can do better.
Yes. Thank you.
And they need to punch...
95. Punch 95.
All right. Again, I want to thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
I now have Nick Cummins, attorney Nick Cummins, right here on Full Circle, and we'll be talking about the importance of voting, especially the importance of voting March 20th, how important it is to vote. A lot of people, welcome. I'm getting ready to dig right into it, Nick.
It's all right. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Now, I mean, this election, March 20th, a lot of people is taking it lightly. It's just like, I don't have to vote, So let's talk a little bit about this election.
Yeah, primary elections are just as important as the general elections, and a lot of people don't understand that, especially in our communities. Our communities will go out and vote in presidential elections with regularity and record numbers, but when it comes to the primary ballot, a lot of them stay home. And unfortunately, that's how status quo remains. We don't get to see a lot of change, whether it be in the state, the county, the city, whatever the municipality you live in. There's very little change because people don't go out and vote in the primary. They wait till November. So it's very important to get out to vote in March, on March 20th, or even now. Early voting started February 21st, and select locations around the city and the suburbs of Cook County, and in more places, I believe March the 9th or 6th, one of those dates. I believe it's March 6th. But March 20th is Election Day, and we are trying to encourage as many people as possible to come out and actually vote in the primary, because there are so many people that are actually running to get your vote in November.
And how do you educate people into coming out? I mean, it's just...
So a couple of different organizations that I belong to. One is Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and the Cook County Bar Association have hosted various forums to try and educate people about the candidates first and foremost. And secondly, We also have voter registration initiatives and other initiatives to try and get people encouraged to go out and vote.
Okay.
I know with Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the chapter I belong to, Xi Lambda chapter here in Chicago, we are gearing up towards the beginning of March to try and get people out to the polls. Up until now, we've been focused on voter education. Next, we will be focused on voter mobilization. The fraternity has a national program, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, and encourages people to vote in every election, not just in the presidential election or in November.
So that was my next question. What method can the average person use to educate themselves about voting and who to vote for and how?
There are various different ways. A lot of the candidates will have websites. Is one easy way if you happen to have internet access or if you're computer savvy. That's one easy way, is if they have a website.
Okay.
The second way is the state Board of Elections has a website. It's very informational. It lists for you all the candidates. It gives you information about what district you live in or what congressional district, Cook County district, sub-circuit for judicial elections. It tells you what area you live in order so that you can know who the candidates are going to be. Those are two sort of easy ways that you don't have to get out of your home in order to learn about who to vote for. Another way to learn who to vote for is to make sure that a lot of the community organizations filter information out to the neighborhoods. Okay, so your block clubs, your community groups, they will filter out information to its community in order to get people to understand who candidates are. So for example, I live in West Chatham, and the West Chatham Improvement Association encourages its aldermen and Cook County commissioners to attend each and every meeting. So in the Cook County commissioners are up for re-election or election. The aldermen will be in 2019, so it gives them an opportunity to mix with their constituents and educate them as to the issues that are affecting their communities. Lastly, another way that's going to require people to come out of their homes is to attend candidate forums. They're usually advertised on television, on the news, or in newspapers. To go to these forums to actually hear what the candidates have to say. A lot of them tell you their platforms flat out at these forums. They're asked questions, they're challenged. It's a good idea of whether or not you're comfortable with a person once you hear from them.
You sound like you planning on running for something.
Not at all.
The ins and outs.
Not at all. I have no intention on running. I had to educate myself because I wanted to be an educated voter. I'm a former state's attorney. I used to work the polls in Cook County elections. And one of the things I got to understand is that not everybody that has the right to vote understands what they're voting for. And so that lit a fire in me to try and understand what it is that I'm voting for, and now I'm trying to make sure that people have the resources themselves. I'm not telling you who to vote for.
Yeah, but that's my next question to you is what do you say to people that feel my vote don't matter, I'm not going to vote? What do you say to those people?
That's very unfortunate. There are many problems facing our country, our state, and our local communities. And the people that have the power to change that are not the politicians. It's the people that vote the politicians into office. The power lies in a democracy. The power lies in those who have the ability to cast a ballot. And as far as African Americans are concerned, there are a lot of people that sacrifice so that we would be allowed to have that power. So I try to encourage as many people as I can. I have a friend of mine who lives in California who told me he was going to sit out the presidential election and not vote in that election. That caused a lot of tension. Yeah, that caused a lot of tension.
I heard a lot this last one.
And that even if you go out and write yourself in, you still should exercise their right to vote because the power lies.
You'd be surprised, Nick, how many people really don't believe that they vote count, so they don't vote.
And that's truly unfortunate. One of the things, if you look back at historical elections, particularly in primary elections like the one coming up on March 20th, voter college. In local elections, it's one person, one vote. Each one of those votes counts. And the only way that you will effectuate change in your community is if you exercise that vote for who you choose to vote for. If that person is going to fight for you, and if you elect them into office and they don't fight for you, you vote them out with someone else and replace them with someone else. That's the only way we will see real change in our communities.
And Trump?
Unfortunately, unless Congress, the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. has the political will to impeach him for something, we stuck with him until 2020.
And Trump.
And if you just be one small point on Trump, I understand that a lot of people, the federal gets a lot of attention. The national media focuses on Washington, D.C., as it should. But your life is much more affected what happens locally. What taxes we pay in Cook County and Chicago are affected by local politicians, by your state representatives, by your state congresspeople, by the governor of Illinois. Those things affect you at home rather than what happens in D.C.
That's right.
Now, the things that happen in D.C. can a lot of federal dollars come into our state, come in directly into Cook County. So a lot of the policies can have an impact locally because of what Trump is or is not doing or is trying to unravel based on the things that Obama had done. But realistically, it's your Cook County board, it's your mayor, it's your alderman, it's your state representatives, it's your congressman, it's your governor that has a more impact on your life than what the president of the United States chooses to do in D.C.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I hope to a lot of people.
and I hope that message rings home and will motivate people to actually go out on March 20th to vote.
Now, I want to ask you, because I heard you earlier say that you have done stuff in the community.
Yes, ma'am.
And seeing that you work in the community, what would you want to change in the community, especially in ours, and why?
So one of the things, Chicago is a very segregated city. I was not born and raised in Chicago, but I've been here since 1996, and I've lived in various different parts of the city, and I know the differences in the communities. And one of the things that I've noticed, at least in my community and in other communities on the South Side, is the availability of commercial business that serves our community is not the same as the availability of commercial business on the North Side.
Okay.
And that is problematic to me. We try to meet with our politicians on a regular basis, our aldermen, our commissioners, to try and encourage them to try and recruit businesses to come into our community. And it is happening. I will give Alderman Brookins some credit and Stanley Moore some credit in the development that's gone on closer to Evergreen Park, as well as some of the stuff that's gone on in the 21st Ward, right around the corner from my home. But unfortunately, it's not enough. If we talk about fair representation, our communities deserve the same service as those on the North Side. Now, I understand that sometimes it's a matter of resource, and that's a conversation I have with other my professional colleagues, some of my other people that I know in the community that make some good money that don't want to live in our communities. And I say part of the reason why our community has the state that it is because you moved out. If we had what might be black gentrification, we had black people that were educated and financially well, living in the communities that have been disenfranchised, they wouldn't be disenfranchised. They would have those opportunities attracted to serve everyone in the community. Our schools will be better. Our neighborhoods will be safer. But we have to get that message out to everyone to try and move into our areas.
So what being that we're still talking about the election, what made you so passionate about this election?
Again, working at the polls. So when I used to be a state's attorney, we had to do poll watching to make sure that there was no electioneering or anything illegal going on at the polls. In the history of Chicago, used to have people intimidating voters, encouraging them to vote. I will give Alderman Brookins some credit and Stanley Moore some credit in the development that's gone on closer to Evergreen Park, as well as some of the stuff that's gone on in the 21st Ward, right around the corner from my home. But unfortunately, it's not enough. If we talk about fair representation, our communities deserve the same service as those on the north side. Now I understand that sometimes it's a matter of resource, and that's a conversation I have with other my professional colleagues, some of my other people that I know in the community that make some good money, that don't want to live in our communities. And I say part of the reason why our community has the state that it is because you moved out. If we had what might be black gentrification, we had black people that were educated and financially well, living in the communities that have been disenfranchised, they wouldn't be disenfranchised. They would have those opportunities attracted to serve everyone in the community. Our schools will be better. Our neighborhoods will be safer. But we have to get that message out to everyone to try and move into our areas.
So what being that we're still talking about the election, what made you so passionate about this election?
Again, working at the polls. So when I used to be a state's attorney, we had to do poll watching to make sure that there was no electioneering or anything illegal going on at the polls. In the history of Chicago, used to have people intimidating voters, encouraging them to vote for a particular candidate.
Yeah, when they come through the door, yeah. They were still doing that.
Back in the 30s and 20s, you would actually have people get beat, if they weren't going to vote for certain people. So the state's attorney's office has that responsibility, and I would go around to the polls and I would just observe and see people making decisions. They would make decisions based on race. So if the candidate looked like them, they would vote for them. They didn't know anything about this candidate. They just knew that they were black or Latino or Hispanic or something, or Irish, and that's how they would vote. They would vote because it was a presidential election, so they would just come down and vote for the president. So that's what lit a fire in me to be motivated, not only to educate myself, but try and educate others about the importance of each and every office that we have the opportunity to vote for. Your Cook County commissioners determine the ability to spend for the health and hospital systems. The health and hospital system is one of the largest delivery of health care in the country. Unfortunately, because of a lack of resources, it's been constantly cut. So making sure you elect the correct commissioner that will have your interest in mind. If you don't happen to have health benefits and you need to get service from Cook County and you have county care, it's important to know that your commissioner is advocating to make sure that you have health care. Same thing with your alderman. The city of Chicago is responsible for providing resources for our police and for funding for our schools and paying our teachers. It's important to understand your alderman has your back in serving your community, and if they don't, if he or she does not have your best interests in mind, you have the power to replace them with someone else. And part of it was too, Obama, as he left office, when he was last in town, he had a rally, and he said, if you don't like what's going on, get a petition and run for office. I'm not doing that, but I do want to try and help educate other people why it's important to vote.
Okay, and so who will be some of the people you'll be voting for?
You put me on the spot.
Supposed to ask that, right?
You put me on the spot.
You better not say it. They might start back fighting at the voting polls.
I can't necessarily say who I'm voting for, but I will say that I have volunteered my time for particular candidates because either I know them personally and believe in them, or because I understand the importance of the platform. A couple of the offices I forgot to mention. The governor's race is very important in this election. You have your state representatives that are very important in this election, but the office of Attorney General is also up for election as well. And there are 8 Democratic candidates and 2 Republican candidates for the primary alone. And so that's another reason why it's important to vote on March 20th, is because you have so many candidates.
Erika learned some things. Wow, I just never was a big person into getting into politics. But, you know, as you grow older, you start learning and you do better. So with that being said, you all need to make sure you go out and vote.
And you mentioned Erika's. I don't know how I missed it as an attorney, but the judicial elections are also important.
Yeah, it's definitely. Again, you need to make sure you punch 152. Welcome to Full Circle TV show, your source of health, business, and entertainment. Honorable Clerk Dorothy Brown.
Thank you.
How about that? I just want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to come in and talk and actually get a chance to help some of the viewers with learning how to go about getting expungements or getting their records sealed, either or. And I mean, I had such a problem some months ago, and I had to come in and I'm hollering and screaming, and it's just some crap from the past, and it just kept showing up. And it was something small, just a small little misdemeanor. And all these years, from '95, I've been thinking that it was
gone.
Sealed, it was gone.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh my God. So I come running in your office, and I'm yelling and screaming, and they're like, who is this crazy person? And so, however, your assistant, she ended up, you know, telling me, well, you need to go over here and you need to talk to this person. And the people she actually put me in place with, they kind of stirred me in the right direction. But since '95, I came in to get it expunged or sealed, whatever I call myself trying to do, about 15 years ago.
Wow.
So I've been thinking all this time that it was gone. And it was just some steps that I didn't know about that I was supposed to take once I came in and I did the paperwork.
Okay.
And I wasn't aware of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, oh my goodness, I need to get Dorothy Brown back on, because we need to help people, because just like I was so lost and didn't know, I can imagine how many other people is lost and don't know. So my question to you, the Honorable Brown, because I know you have specials, and we're not going to even get into that right now during the year, where you can go certain places and get this stuff done.
Right.
But
Yes.
on a regular, let's talk about what do you have to do to come down to the Daily Center
Okay.
to get expunged?
So basically, the way it's set up based upon where you were arrested. Okay. If you were arrested in Chicago, then you would come to the Daily Center, room 1006, or you can go over to 26 in California. You know, whether or not that was a misdemeanor or a felony, as long as it occurred in Chicago, then that's where those are the two places that you would go to get an expungement or sealing filed. If you were arrested out in the Markham area, then you would go to that courthouse. Maywood, you go to that courthouse. Skokie, Rolling Meadows, and Bridgeview. So the judges prefer you to file your case for expungement or sealing at the courthouse, number one, where the arrest was within one of the municipalities within that particular courthouse's regional area, and you would have been brought to that courthouse for your court hearing. So you want to start there to actually do your petition. Now, even before you go there, the best thing to do is to go to the Chicago Police Department and get a rap sheet. Obtain a rap sheet. A rap sheet is just simply a report of what occurred, all the different kind of cases that you have on your sheet. They have the state of Illinois. They even have things from around the country. But for sure, the state of Illinois, Cook County. So, because when you do go through this process, you really want to know that you're addressing everything that may be on your criminal record. So best to go to get your rap sheet.
Now, is it a charge when you go?
There is a charge. I see you have the information right here. So basically, the Chicago Police Department is located at 3510 South Michigan Avenue. So to get an adult rap sheet, the fee is $16. Okay. So they take the fingerprints Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to noon. Then you can go and pick up your results Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's usually, they say, return 1 week later to pick them up. So you go, they take your fingerprints. Now, the reason why they take your fingerprints because they know that that record is identified directly with you. And then they will run your rap sheet and you can come and pick it up the next week. Okay, now now that's for adults. If it's a juvenile case, the rap sheets are free. Okay. And you can go to Chicago Police Department, give your fingerprints, 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, and they say it's the same day pickup for juvenile offenses. So you can go to the Chicago Police Department, regardless of where your case occurred. You can go to the Chicago Police Department actually because they would have the entire Cook County. Of course, you could go to the police department where you got arrested as well if you don't want to come all the way down here. They should have the live scan machines to scan your fingerprints and give you your rap sheet as well. So you start with your rap sheet so you know what you got arrested for.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times people have been arrested and never came to court because they got a station adjustment. In other words, the police found out that you didn't have anything to do with it, so they don't even bring your case to court. But because they took your fingerprints, they arrested you and took your fingerprints, you have a record. You have a record, a criminal record. And people don't realize it. They think, oh, I got off. You know, I didn't have to go to court. They let me go. And they don't think they have a criminal record. Yes, if the police department took your fingerprints, they sent your fingerprints and your arrest information to the Illinois State Police and into the FBI database. So you still need to, so you want to know everything. You can come to my office and look at your information using your birth date, your name, and any aliases that you may have. But if the police never brought it to me, never brought you to court, then I won't have that one.
So if they never brought you to court and they come, because that's what I was going to ask, because that was another thing I didn't know, that you can actually come in to the office
and look at our system, our criminal system, and you can put your name and your birth date in, and anything that came to court. To Cook County Court, not any other courts in the state of Illinois, but any Cook County Court will come up on my system. So, but it's best to go and get your rap sheet, because if they never brought you to court, in other words, you were arrested but not charged, then that won't even be on my court records. So you want to know all of your arrests first. And once you know all of your arrests, then the next step is to go to the different courthouses where you were arrested. Okay? Now you get to those courthouses and you come to the office of the clerk of the court and you ask for a petition for expunging. You know, we have the petitions, or you don't even have to come to our office. You can go on your computer, look up the petitions for expungement forms, or look up my easy guide. I have a guide for expungement and sealing. You can look through there and have explanations of various things, and then there are forms at the back of that. All the forms that are necessary to prepare for expungement is in that guide.
So let me interrupt right here. Now, a lot of people, like myself, tried that. So I ended up coming back, acting crazy, and I'm like, you all also have the service of the Cabrini Green legal aid.
Yes,
Now,
but you wanted me to explain to them the normal, the regular. I'm going to explain the regular, then I'll tell them about the special service.
People need to know about that special
services that are possibly available to them. And you know, they don't take a lot of people.
Exactly.
So that's why people need to know how to do it themselves. Yes.
The regular way.
Okay.
Okay.
So once they come in and they file the petition, now, mind you, you can put all of your cases on one petition and pay $120.
One fee. Okay.
One fee. But if you use more than one petition, you have to pay for each petition. So you want to file one petition. You can even put the list of cases on an extra piece of paper, extra sheet of paper. We even have extra sheets.
Okay.
That you ask for some extra sheets if you need extra sheets. But you want to file all your cases on one petition. Now, all your expungement cases on one petition, and I believe you can also file all your expungement and sealing cases on one petition.
Right.
Now, so you fill that out, and now you're ready to file. But now, some of the areas require a certified disposition. I believe Chicago courts require a certified disposition. Now, let me explain to you what a certified disposition is.
Okay.
A certified disposition, when you are found innocent or guilty, whatever the disposition, in other words, whatever occurred in the case, that's your disposition. How was the case disposed of? Okay. Now, how was the case disposed of? Now, you could easily come to our office, print off how the case was disposed of, but in Chicago, the judge wants it to be certified by the clerk's office. In other words, you didn't just go to Kinko's and print your own, but it is certified that this is what happened in your case, and it has been certified by the clerk's office. So that's the certified disposition. Now, that is $9 per disposition. However, if you are found indigent,
you need that too.
You need that in Chicago, yes.
Okay.
In Chicago, so you need your rap sheet plus your certified disposition plus your petition to file in Chicago. Now, it says it's $9 per case. However, if you cannot afford to pay, let's say for the filing or the disposition, before you even submit your documents, you want to tell the clerk's office personnel, I really can't afford this $120. What can I do? I'm not working, haven't worked in years, whatever the situation is, or I may be underemployed. I may be below the poverty level. What can I do? And they'll let you know that we have something called the 298 petition, which is asking a judge to let you file for free. So you complete the 298 petition. We then set a hearing for you to go before a judge, and you explain to the judge your financial situation. Some judges may ask you to bring back some documentation proving that what your situation is. So once you prove to the judge that you cannot afford to pay, that you are indeed indigent, now they will stamp that 298 petition approved. You come back to our office with your 298 petition saying, judge says everything can be free. Your petition, your rap sheet, and your disposition, and you give that to our cashier, and he or she will ring your case up for free. And then they will also let you have all of your certified dispositions. Let's say you have 100 cases, or let's say you have 10 cases, and you have 10 cases. This $9 per case, that's $90. So it can get very expensive. Well, that $90 will be waived. Okay? And you file that case. Now, once that case is filed, the state's attorney, the Illinois State Police, the agency that arrested you, all of those agencies have 60 days to object. Okay, now I'm talking about the adults. I'll get to the juveniles in a few minutes. They have 60 days to object. Okay, so that means...
And I had one more question, one more question. Can you explain the ballots when they go in to vote real quick? I seen something like people don't understand what to look for when they go to the ballots.
In connection with the placement?
Yes.
First of all, what people should understand, this is, and I'll be honest with you, I did not necessarily know this either. Sometimes people feel the placement on the ballot is because you are a party person and the party supports you, or you had money. It's lottery. So you submit your binders. If you submit it on the first day, you can get in. So the first L is legal. You want to vote for somebody who is qualified, who has a legal experience. I started out when I talked to you about the diversity of my experience. The second thing is love. I love my people. I love my community. And you want somebody who is not going into this space with negative energy about people on the bench, because that doesn't work. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with issues. Judges have the ability to take away your money. Judges have the ability to take away your home. Judges have the ability to take away your kids, okay? That's a lot of power. Yeah. So you don't want somebody on the bench who doesn't have just a genuine love of community and people.
There you go.
And the third thing is, and it's the most important thing, is listening. As a family law attorney, I have honed my ability to listen. I am dealing with people's mess at its highest form, okay? And sometimes you have to cut through the mess, because sometimes the people don't even, right.
For your job.
Sometimes people don't even realize how bad their mess is, so you have to listen. And listening is an active activity, it's not a passive one. There's hearing and there's listening. And I've developed the ability to listen, because if you don't have someone on the bench who's listening, there's not possible for you to have